Emmerdale has unveiled the next chapter in the disturbing storyline involving Charity and Dr. Todd as the police arrive in the village ready to take action. Just as Dr. Todd is making plans to leave the Dales behind, her departure is interrupted when officers call her in for questioning at the station. Earlier this week, Charity went to the police to report that Dr. Todd had sexually assaulted her. She also agreed to undergo a medical assessment to provide investigators with as much evidence as possible. In Wednesday's episode, Charity is left deeply unsettled when she comes face to face with Dr. Todd for the first time since the traumatic incident. Despite already giving a statement to the police, Charity still feels unable to open up to her loved ones. During separate conversations with her husband and granddaughter, she invents excuses to explain why she vanished from the birthday celebrations the previous day. Soon afterwards, Dr. Todd begins to fear the consequences when a detective approaches her regarding a sexual assault allegation. As the questioning begins, will Dr. Todd manage to talk her way out of trouble and twist the situation in her favor once again? Or could this mark the start of her downfall? Discussing the storyline's future, producer Sophie Roper explained that the plot will examine the lasting effects of sexual violence. While the crime is ultimately about power and control, the story will also explore the unique challenges Charity faces as she tries to come to terms with being assaulted by another woman. She noted that conversations around female-on-female sexual assault are rare, and the storyline aims to highlight the isolation many survivors experience. It will also address the gap between the legal definition of sexual assault and the way many victims feel about what happened to them. Roper added that, although the storyline contains difficult moments, viewers will see Charity's strength and determination as she begins to confront her trauma. Emma Atkins also spoke about the emotional impact of the plot, describing it as one of the most challenging and important storylines she has tackled. She said that while Charity is known for being strong and resilient, this ordeal exposes a much more vulnerable side of the character. She expressed hope that the story might encourage survivors to speak out and help others gain a better understanding of the hidden effects of trauma. Emmerdale is set to deliver a shocking kidnapping storyline next week, as Lewis Barton's romantic plans with boyfriend Vinnie Dingle take a terrifying turn. What begins as an exciting getaway soon becomes a nightmare when Lewis is abducted by a masked stranger and forced into a van. After initially feeling uneasy about a spontaneous holiday with Vinnie, Lewis eventually decides to put his fears aside and embrace the adventure. However, just as he prepares to leave for the airport, disaster strikes. Who is responsible for snatching him away? According to sources from the village, Lewis is far more familiar with serving coffee and living a quiet life than finding himself at the center of a criminal ordeal. Even agreeing to the last-minute trip was enough to trigger his anxiety, making this frightening experience all the more overwhelming. The dramatic incident unfolds shortly after Lewis and Vinnie begin making plans for a romantic escape. Taking advantage of the beautiful weather, Vinnie surprises his partner with an unexpected holiday to Madeira. Although the gesture is well intended, Lewis struggles with the sudden change of plans. His anxiety soon gets the better of him, and he decides he can no longer go through with the trip. While Vinnie is disappointed by the decision, Lewis encourages him not to cancel his holiday and insists he should travel alone. Yet privately, Lewis wishes he could overcome his worries and join him. Seeking advice, Lewis opens up to his older brother Ross about his fears and uncertainty. After receiving encouragement and reassurance, he finally changes his mind and decides to head off on the holiday after all. Determined not to miss his chance, Lewis rushes from home carrying his suitcase and hurries towards his waiting taxi. But before he can make it to the airport, a van suddenly pulls up beside him. In a matter of seconds, what seemed like a romantic race to reunite with Vinnie becomes a terrifying abduction. Attention immediately turns to one possible suspect, Lewis's biological father, Kev. Having struggled for some time with how to reveal the truth about their connection, could Kev have resorted to desperate measures, in an attempt to finally tell Lewis who he really is? With Kev expected to reappear soon, questions are mounting. Has Lewis unknowingly become involved in one of his father's criminal schemes, or could someone connected to Kev's dangerous past have taken his secret son hostage instead? Kane faces another heartbreaking setback in Emmerdale as his health battle takes a devastating turn. Before undergoing surgery, Kane had considered cancelling the procedure because he was terrified of the possible long-term consequences, including sexual dysfunction and bladder control issues. Those fears intensified when he regained consciousness after the operation and discovered he had a catheter fitted. Believing it would be permanent, he struggled emotionally before eventually learning it was only a temporary measure. However, even after the catheter was removed, new complications emerged. Kane began suffering from severe urinary urgency, making it difficult for him to go anywhere without worrying about finding a toilet. The condition became so overwhelming that he ended up in trouble with the police after being caught relieving himself in public. To make matters worse, he also experienced an embarrassing accident. The ordeal left him fearful of traveling too far from bathroom facilities, causing his anxiety to spiral and preventing him from returning to work. Just as Kane begins trying to adapt to his changed circumstances, another difficult challenge lies ahead. Kyle is preparing to be officially sworn into the cadets, and he is thrilled when Kane promises to attend the ceremony. Proudly taking his oath, Kyle is delighted to know his father is there to support him. But when he looks across the crowd, Kane is nowhere to be seen. It appears that Kane has let him down, though not by choice. A sudden and urgent need to find a toilet forces him to leave unexpectedly. Rushing to the Woolpack's restroom facilities, Kane is devastated when he notices a wet patch on his trousers. Humiliated by the situation, he tries to keep out of sight. Unfortunately, Charles walks in and quickly realizes what has happened. Wanting to help, Charles returns with a fresh pair of trousers. Together, Charles and Bob reassure Kane that there is nothing to be ashamed of and promise to keep the matter private. In a significant moment, Kane finally allows himself to accept support from those around him. With encouragement from his friends, he returns to the cadet event and apologizes to Kyle for missing part of the occasion. Thankfully, Kyle understands and reassures his father that everything is fine. Even so, Kane feels completely defeated and wonders how much longer his struggles will continue. Sadly, the worst is still to come. During a follow-up hospital appointment, Kane and Moira receive devastating news when Ms. Rhodes reveals that the cancer has spread. The revelation leaves them both shattered and sends Kane into another emotional downward spiral. Although further treatment is available, doctors explain that he must wait for his body to recover before it can begin. There is another painful reality to face as well. The radiotherapy he now requires could make his current side effects permanent. Determined to shield the family from more worry, Kane and Moira decide not to tell the boys about the latest development. However, given Kane's reluctance to undergo surgery in the first place, the question remains whether he will agree to continue with the next stage of treatment or attempt to avoid it altogether. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weeknight at 8 p.m, with episodes available to stream from 7 a.m. on ITVX and YouTube.